The price of arrogance. The vast chambers of the Nexus Federation's Grand Assembly fell silent as Supreme Counselor Javek rose from his ornate seat. His iridescent scales caught the light from 3 artificial suns that hung above the gathering of 200 species. The silence wasn't from respect. It was anticipation. The human specimen continues to demonstrate remarkable cellular regeneration, Javek announced, his bifurcated tongue flicking between words. Science Minister Trelixa believes we can extract the genetic sequence within another cycle. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Humans were newcomers to the galactic stage, barely 2 centuries into faster-than-light travel. The Federation had existed for millennia, spreading across 17 galactic arms. They viewed humanity as primitive curiosities, resourceful but ultimately insignificant. What began as scientific interest had evolved into something darker. Dr. Maya Chen had been leading a xenobiology expedition on the frontier world Proxima Tertius when her research vessel was intercepted. Official reports claimed her ship had catastrophically malfunctioned. In reality, she now resided in the Federation's most secure research facility on Helix Prime. The specimen shows remarkable resilience, continued Science Minister Trelixa, a Valerian with 6 limbs and compound eyes that reflected the chamber in countless fragments. We increased neural stimulation by 40% beyond the calculated human tolerance threshold, yet cognitive functions remain intact. What none of them understood was that Maya Chen wasn't just any scientist. Before her career in xenobiology, she had served in Earth's Intelligence Division. The subdermal transmitter beneath her left shoulder blade continued broadcasting on frequencies the Federation's systems dismissed as background radiation. I recommend accelerating the extraction process, Trelixa added. Preliminary results suggest their adaptive capacity could revolutionize our biological enhancement programs. Ambassador Krulmar, one of the few moderates within the Council, raised a hesitant appendage. We should consider the diplomatic implications. Humans may be young, but their resource utilization efficiency exceeds even Qualarian standards. Javek's inner eyelids flicked dismissively. They have 27 colony worlds and a defensive perimeter that couldn't withstand a Taurian mining fleet. What precisely do you imagine they could do? In Earth's Central Command beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Helena Reeves stared at the holographic display showing Maya's vitals. For 6 months, they had monitored her transmissions, slowly building a complete picture of the Federation's actions. Diplomatic channels, asked General Santiago, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow. We've exhausted them, Reeves replied. 3 formal inquiries, 2 ambassador-level meetings. They maintained Dr. Chen's ship was lost to stellar phenomena. The room contained just 5 people. Earth's Security Council. No aids, no recording devices. What would happen next would never appear in any official record. The Chen Protocol is authorized, said President Emerson. The words hung heavy in the air. No debate, no vote. They'd had that discussion months ago, establishing the red line. The Federation had crossed it the moment they began neural stimulation. Ghost Fleet assets, asked Admiral Reeves. All of them, confirmed Defense Secretary Wang. Full operational authority granted. Within 24 hours, Earth went silent. Communication arrays powered down. Trade vessels returned to port without explanation. Embassy staff took unexpected leave. No declarations, no threats, no warnings. Humanity simply withdrew. The Federation barely noticed at first. Human space represented an insignificant portion of galactic commerce. A few border stations reported the silence, but such technical disruptions were common with primitive systems. It took 3 days before High Commander Zelthrak of Federation Security brought the matter to the Council's attention. The humans have ceased all communication, he reported. No transmissions of any kind detected from their territory. Javek waved a dismissive hand. Perhaps they're having technical difficulties, or conducting some religious observance. They have many peculiar customs. Nevertheless, insisted Zelthrak, I've dispatched a scout vessel to their primary colony in the Centauri system. Standard protocol. The vessel never reported back. On the 8th day of silence, the Federation's premier military research station orbiting the gas giant Krell disappeared. Not destroyed. There was no debris, no radiation signature, no distress call. Simply gone, along with its complement of 8,000 personnel and the prototype quantum disruption array that could disable a planet's magnetic field. Impossible, declared Javek when informed. Our sensors would have detected any approach. 2 days later, the mining outpost on Viridian VI vanished. Then the shipyards at Taurus Point. Each facility simply ceased to exist without warning or explanation. No signs of conventional attack. No energy signatures. No survivors. Panic began to spread through the Federation's outer territories. 3 separate counselors demanded emergency sessions. Zelthrak mobilized the 7th Fleet to establish a defensive perimeter around Helix Prime, where Dr. Chen was still undergoing research protocols. On the 15th day of silence, the impossible happened. During a full council session, with every security measure active and 12 warships in orbit, a human vessel appeared in the heart of Federation space, directly above the Helix Prime facility. It materialized without warning, defying every known law of physics. No hyperjump signature, no subspace distortion. One moment empty space, the next a vessel of impossible proportions, sleek, midnight black, and absolutely silent. It dwarfed the largest Federation dreadnought, stretching nearly 15 kilometers from bow to stern. Nexus Federation came the transmission on all frequencies in perfect standard galactic. This is Admiral James Kane of the Earth vessel Nemesis. You are currently holding Dr. Maya Chen against her will and in violation of all civilized protocols. Return her immediately, or we will retrieve her ourselves. The Federation flagship Eternal Dominion moved to intercept weapons charge. Human vessel, responded High Commander Zelthrak. You have illegally entered Federation space. Power down and prepare to be boarded, or you will be destroyed. There was a pause, long enough that Zelthrak believed the humans were considering surrender. Very well, came Admiral Kane's voice, oddly regretful. You've made your choice. What happened next would be debated by Federation historians for generations. The human vessel, the Nemesis, didn't fire a single weapon. It simply existed, and in its existence, it somehow negated everything around it. The Eternal Dominion's power grid failed first, then life support, then artificial gravity. The massive Federation flagship drifted lifelessly, its crew frozen in the void as emergency systems catastrophically failed. The other 11 ships suffered identical fates within minutes, their advanced technology rendered useless by mechanisms beyond Federation understanding. On the planet's surface, Science Minister Trelexar rushed to the containment cell where Dr. Chen was held. If the humans wanted her back so desperately, perhaps she could serve as leverage. He found the cell empty. The reinforced quantanium barriers, capable of containing a supernova's energy, stood intact, but Dr. Chen had vanished as completely as the lost Federation outposts. A single message appeared on every screen across Helix Prime. You took one of ours. We could take all of yours. Remember this mercy. When communication was restored hours later, reports flooded in from across Federation space. Every research facility involved in the Chen project, 43 installations spanning 22 systems, had been simultaneously disabled. No loss of life, but every scrap of data relating to human biology had been systematically erased. In the Grand Assembly Chamber, Supreme Counselor Javek faced the first unified rebellion in Federation history. Representatives from 38 worlds demanded his immediate resignation. The Federation's invincibility had been shattered not by violence, but by the controlled precision of humanity's response. How? He demanded of his scientific advisors. How did they find her? How did they penetrate our defenses? How did their vessels move without detection? None could answer. The humans had demonstrated technology so far beyond Federation understanding that the most advanced sensors couldn't even detect its operation. Ambassador Krell-Mar, who had cautioned restraint months earlier, addressed the assembly. We believed ourselves superior by virtue of our age. We viewed them as primitive because they are young. We failed to consider that a species that achieved in 2 centuries what took us millennia might not be showing all their capabilities. As the political fallout consumed the Federation, Admiral Kane stood on the Nemesis's bridge, watching Dr. Chen receive medical treatment. She looked up at him, her eyes clear despite months of torment. "They never broke me," she said simply. "We know," Kane replied. "But they broke something far more important." "What's that?" "Our patience." Across human space, ghost fleet vessels slipped back into hidden docks. The facilities that had disappeared from Federation territory hadn't been destroyed. They had been transported, analyzed, and now rested in secure Earth installations. Humanity had acquired in 15 days what would have taken decades of conventional espionage. President Emerson addressed the United Earth government in a closed session. "For 200 years, we hid our true capabilities, believing peaceful coexistence required appearing non-threatening. Today marks the end of that strategy. We will no longer hide what we are to comfort those who underestimate us." As Earth's communication systems reactivated, a single message was broadcast across all Federation frequencies. "We came in peace. Remember who changed the terms." The Federation had taken one human. In return, humanity had revealed just enough of its power to ensure they would never make that mistake again. The Ghost Fleet. The emergency session of the Nexus Federation Council stretched into its 3rd day. Representatives from all member species crowded the chambers, fear evident even among races whose physiologies normally disguised emotion. The once mighty Federation, undisputed ruler of 17 galactic arms, had been humbled in a way none thought possible. The human vessel departed Federation space approximately 72 hours ago, reported High Commander Zelthrak, his voice lacking its usual confidence. Long-range sensors tracked it to the edge of the Orion spur before it. "Disappeared. Disappeared," echoed Counselor Javix of the Taurians. "Like our missing installations." Zelthrak's secondary appendages twitched in discomfort. "Precisely. One moment present, the next gone. No energy signature, no warp distortion, nothing our technology can detect." The implications hung heavy in the chamber. The Federation's technological superiority had been their bedrock assumption for millennia. Now that foundation had cracked. "What do we know about this Ghost Fleet?" asked the newly appointed acting Supreme Counselor Krell-Mar, who had replaced the disgraced Zovek. Science Minister Keldora, who had succeeded Trelixa, activated a holographic display. "Very little. Human military capabilities were assessed as minimal, primarily defensive. Their published technological level suggested nothing even approaching what we witnessed." "Then they deceived us," hissed Counselor Mexvik of the Saurian Confederacy. "For centuries. Consider the alternative," Krell-Mar said quietly. "That they developed in decades what took us millennia." The silence that followed was more terrifying than any outcry could have been. Far beyond Federation monitoring capabilities, Admiral Kane stood aboard the Nemesis as it rejoined the rest of humanity's Ghost Fleet at the coordinates known only as Point Omega. 27 vessels of similar design hung in the void, their black hulls absorbing rather than reflecting the distant starlight. "Dr. Chen's recovery is complete," reported Captain Ilara Voss, the Nemesis's second-in-command. "Medical confirms no permanent physical damage, though the psychological evaluation is ongoing." Kane nodded. "And the intelligence acquired?" "Beyond our most optimistic projections, sir. The Federation's quantum encryption was centuries ahead of what they showed in diplomatic exchanges, but still 3 generations behind our current standards. We've accessed everything: military installations, fleet deployments, research facilities." On the Nemesis's command deck, the senior staff gathered around a holographic representation of Federation space. Thousands of worlds illuminated the display, with critical military and governance hubs highlighted in red. "The Federation Council believes we've withdrawn to lick our wounds," said Intelligence Director Sato. "They're debating whether to dispatch a diplomatic mission or prepare for potential human aggression. The military hardliners are gaining influence, arguing that our actions reveal hostile intent." "And the abductions?" asked Kane. "Still unexplained from their perspective. We extracted 43 research facilities without leaving a trace. Their best scientific minds are proposing theories ranging from experimental weapons to natural spatial anomalies. None have come close to understanding phase shift technology." Kane turned to the room's only civilian, Dr. Maya Chen herself. Still thin from her ordeal, she nevertheless stood straight, her gaze unflinching. "Dr. Chen, you've reviewed the data extracted from Helix Prime. In your assessment, was this an isolated incident or Federation policy?" She didn't hesitate. "Policy, Admiral. The neural recordings I managed to capture before my extraction show at least 17 other specimens in Federation custody, various non-member species being studied without consent. Their contempt for younger races appears systematic and institutionalized." President Emerson's hologram appeared at the head of the table. "Then we proceed as planned. Admiral Kane, you have your orders." Within the Federation's core systems, the first indications of the Ghost Fleet's return came not as military alerts but as communication failures. The primary relay station in the Arcturus sector simply went offline. Then the backup. Then the tertiary systems. Within hours, half the Federation was blind, cut off from faster-than-light communication. "Cyber attack," suggested Zelthrak when the Council demanded answers. "Impossible," insisted the Federation's Chief Information Minister. "Our systems are isolated, protected by quantum encryption. To compromise them would require physical access to each relay." The horrifying truth dawned slowly. Someone had gained physical access to hundreds of communication hubs scattered across thousands of light years, simultaneously. When the visual feeds from the Federation's primary shipyard at Proxima Centauri restored, they showed not destruction but absence. The massive construction docks, capable of building dreadnoughts, had vanished, along with 16 vessels in various stages of completion. 50,000 workers had been deposited safely on nearby habitation stations, but every piece of advanced technology was gone. The pattern repeated across Federation space. Military installations, research facilities, weapons platforms, all disappearing without warning or resistance. Not destroyed, simply taken. "They're collecting," realized Krelmar during the 14th emergency session in 10 days. "Harvesting our technology, our knowledge." "To what end?" demanded Councillor Javix. "If they possess such advanced capabilities, what value is our technology to them?" "Understanding," said Krelmar softly. "They want to know everything about us, about all of us." The Federation's mighty defense fleets scrambled to protect critical worlds, but they were fighting shadows. Human vessels would appear without warning, phase shift entire installations into non-space, and vanish before defensive weapons could even acquire targeting solutions. On the 21st day, the pattern changed. The Ghost Fleet stopped taking. Instead, it appeared, all 28 vessels materializing simultaneously in high orbit around Nexus Prime, the Federation's ancient capital and homeworld. Federation defenders never had a chance to fire. Each Ghost Fleet vessel projected a phase field that neutralized weapon systems at the quantum level, not damaging them, but rendering them temporarily inoperable through principles Federation science couldn't comprehend. A single communication reached the Grand Assembly. "Federation Council. This is Admiral James Kane of Earth's Ghost Fleet. You will clear this chamber of all personnel except primary representatives of each member species. You have 30 minutes. For the first time in its 15,000-year history, the Federation faced an ultimatum it could not ignore. When Admiral Kane stepped onto the assembly floor, the silence was absolute. He wore a simple black uniform with no insignia of rank, no weapons visible. Behind him walked Dr. Chen and a small contingent of human officers. For centuries, Kane began without preamble. Humanity explored the stars hoping to find wisdom among older civilizations. We hidden our true capabilities, restrained our territorial expansion, and observed your diplomatic protocols. We believed that showing strength might be misinterpreted as aggression, so we presented ourselves as less than we are. He activated a holographic display showing Federation scientists experimenting on Dr. Chen. Our mistake, he continued, was assuming that age conferred wisdom, that ancient civilizations would have outgrown cruelty. We were wrong. Krelmar stepped forward. Admiral, the actions taken against Dr. Chen were not sanctioned by 43 facilities, interrupted Kane. 17 species, 284 specimens. We have the records, Counselor. This was not the action of rogue elements. This was systematic policy. The display shifted to show massive Federation military installations now sitting in Earth-controlled space. For 3 weeks, we have systematically removed your military capacity without taking a single life. We have demonstrated capabilities your scientists cannot explain and your military cannot counter. Now we will explain exactly what happens next. Dr. Chen stepped forward, facing the aliens who had tortured her for months without showing a trace of fear. The Federation as you have known it is ended, she stated simply. Earth is establishing a protected species protocol. Any race designated as a developing civilization will be placed under human protection. Any experimentation, exploitation, or aggression against them will be met with immediate response. Outrage erupted among the counselors. But Kane raised his hand, and the room's audio systems subtly dampened until silence returned. You misunderstand, he said. This is not a negotiation. Your military capacity has been reduced by approximately 68%. Your primary manufacturing capabilities are now under our control. Your communication network functions solely because we permit it. He swept his gaze across the alien representatives. For 15,000 years, you have ruled through technological superiority. That advantage no longer exists. You may maintain autonomous governance of your worlds, but the era of Federation expansion and exploitation is over. You cannot enforce this, snarled Counselor Mexvik. You are one world against thousands. Kane smiled for the first time. A small, cold expression. We are one world that has demonstrated the ability to appear anywhere in your territory without warning and remove anything we choose. We don't need to destroy you. We can simply erase your capacity to threaten others. He turned to Dr. Chen, who activated another holographic display, this one showing the interior of the Federation's most secure data repository. While I was your prisoner, she said, I allowed you to believe your neural stimulation was breaking through my resistance. In reality, I was mapping your systems, placing backdoors in your most secure networks. Everything you are, your history, your technological development, your military capabilities, we have accessed. We understand you better than you understand yourselves. Krelmar sagged visibly. What do you want from us? Peace, said Admiral Kane simply. A galactic community where technological advancement doesn't justify exploitation, where age doesn't confer the right to abuse the young. He handed Krelmar a data crystal. These are the terms of the new relationship between Earth and the Federation. They are not punitive. We have no interest in revenge, but they are non-negotiable. As Kane turned to leave, Counselor Javix called out, How did you develop technology so far beyond our understanding while appearing so primitive? Kane paused. We didn't hide our technology because we feared you. We hid it because revealing too much, too quickly has historically led to conflict. We sought to integrate gradually, to learn before teaching. Your treatment of Dr. Chen simply accelerated our timetable. The Federation Council watched in silence as the humans departed. Moments later, 27 of the Ghost Fleet vessels vanished from orbit. Only the Nemesis remained, a silent guardian and implicit threat. In Earth's orbital command, President Emerson reviewed the initial Federation response to the new galactic order. "Compliance appears genuine," reported Admiral Kane via quantum link. "The more progressive elements within the Council are actually relieved. It seems their dominance hierarchy had grown increasingly oppressive even to member worlds." "And Dr. Chen?" asked Emerson. "Returning to Earth, she's requested reassignment to the diplomatic corps. Says she understands the Federation mindset better than most." The president nodded. "A wise choice. We're still learning how to wield influence on this scale. Leaders with her perspective will be essential." Across what had once been Federation space, a new reality settled. The mighty Nexus, unchallenged for millennia, had been humbled not by war or devastation, but by surgical precision and technological supremacy. Humanity had revealed itself not as the primitive newcomer, but as the quiet guardian watching from the shadows. On worlds where the Federation had once harvested specimens from developing civilizations, human observation posts now orbited silently. The message was clear: the era of exploitation had ended. Dr. Maya Chen stood on the observation deck of the transport vessel returning her to Earth, watching the stars streak by. A junior officer approached hesitantly. "Dr. Chen, I was wondering, was it worth it? What you endured?" She considered the question carefully. "They took me because they believed humans were weak. They continued because they thought we were alone." A small smile formed on her lips. Sometimes the most important lessons come at the highest cost. The Federation needed to learn that the galaxy has changed. As the ship accelerated toward Earth, Maya reflected on what humanity had revealed, and what it still kept hidden. The Ghost Fleet represented only a fraction of Earth's true capabilities, a calculated demonstration rather than a full unveiling. Some secrets humanity would keep a while longer. The stars had proven less wise than hoped, and the lesson of restraint was one Earth had learned well. The Federation had taken one human. In return, humanity had rewritten the future of the galaxy.